Good morning here, YouTube people. What is going on with you all today? So, I'm going back into similar to what I said. And I was remembering back to about 12 years ago. I was going to a Spanish-speaking church, and yes, I can speak and understand 98% of Spanish, and I really just got a message from my father during that time that he wanted me to get out to the people. I was very good with the pastor of that church. He spoke very good of me. When my father passed away, he came and comforted me, and he spoke very highly of me. He was from Africa, but their native language was Spanish, which I didn't know a country like that existed in this world, but it truly does. And so I went to his office during the daytime. I don't remember, Wednesday or Thursday, something like that. And I told him that my father had given me a message. Excuse me, one second. It's freezing cold here. Today it was 18 below zero in Celsius and about 27 degrees this morning Fahrenheit, which is the native language here. So anyway, that's why I don't never say Fahrenheit, I always just say Celsius. That way you all would know who or what I'm talking about. So in any case, I took the message to my pastor, and I told him that my father had given me this message to give to the inner church, and I was going to give it. Normally, even if you have somebody that speaks Spanish or doesn't speak Spanish, just in case there are others in the congregation that do not speak Spanish, you give it in English, and then he would have been the translator into Spanish. So I told him about it, and he said, well, let's pray about it. And then 2 or 3 days went by, and it was almost time for Sunday to come, and the last minute he told me, no, I don't think so. I was a little bit disappointed in that, yes, but I really didn't get the whole reason why, okay? So then he starts going into this, well, the reason being is we have a curriculum here, and the Pentecostals, because this was a Pentecostal church, send each and every pastor of the Pentecostal church what message it is that they are going to give for that particular week. And you'll never guess what this message was for this week, okay? It was Malachi 3. Will a man rob God? And, just looking for funds for the church. Me being a part of that congregation at the time, I know for a fact that I had already been through, because this had to be like August or September, somewhere in that range. I had already been through that message like 3 or 4 times that year. And it was kind of like repetitious, And the new message that I was given to give was not even spoke of once at all that year. Matter of fact, I can't think of a time that I ever heard that message. I did not write it down. I do not remember all of it. But it was indeed prophetic, and I don't know why he would not allow me to do so. So we were going out of there, the Pentecostal way or whatever, I don't know. But he explained to me that they could not do that, and just left it right there. And, you know, I know my father wanted me to do that, and it wasn't something controversial, but, you know, it was probably not what many have heard in their lifetime of going to church. And I was baffled by the fact that I could not deliver the message that I was called to give. And I continued going there for about 2 more months, and then I just stopped going, because it wasn't because of the fact that he wouldn't let me, but it was because I felt like it was fake. The church that I was going to was basically a front, you know. It wasn't like, it wasn't real, you know. Here in a Pentecostal church, I at least would have, I would have looked for or expected people to stand up in the church, because I've been to so many different churches in my lifetime that I really would have expected somebody of a Pentecostal view to stand up and, you know, somebody start speaking in tongues, and then somebody coming up and actually translating that message to others. But it started going the wrong way. I don't know how many people understand the whole African background or whatever, but from my understanding, and even what I see on videos and that, African dances, more than not, are satanic. They're of a satanic nature. And these girls were actually like, I don't even know how to say it. They were shaking it like you wouldn't believe. Okay, let's just say that. They were not dressed properly. They were like girls you would see at a strip club. And yes, in my lifetime, I have been to a strip club. I didn't make a habit of going to a strip club, but I have been to about 3 different ones before. Most of it was in my young years. When I turned 21, me and 3 guys that I worked with, they invited me to go to this one, and they were driving, so yeah, it was more or less, you know, just because. But like I said, most of it, if not all of it, was when I was a lot younger. It's like 30, 40 years younger than what I am now. Not 40, because I wasn't at one when I was 18. So about 30-something years, 35. Anyway, long story short, I I have been to them, and the way that those girls were dancing in the church, and I'm not one to, hey, you do wrong, blah, 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 blah. But it was kind of dirty watching that in a church atmosphere. And I don't know how you could change that into something of my father. I didn't get it, you know. How can you turn around and shake your butt around and stuff like that, and whatever they do in the world, that is what they were doing in the church. I don't know how that just all of a sudden up and changes. I don't get that whole situation. I don't believe that I could get that whole situation. And it was just a whole lot of things, and I was trying not to prejudge people, but at the same time I wasn't feeling right with being within that church. And there are many even mega churches that are like this right now. They don't scan. They don't think about what it is they're doing. They just do it. And everything becomes all right and this and that, but it's not. And as I said, I don't believe in actually judging churches for what they might do or whatever, but I just didn't feel good about it, and I expressed myself in it. Well, I started to get looked down upon for even bringing that up. I wasn't trying to be holier than thou or nothing like that. I never try to start controversy. I even wear a bracelet. I'll show you. It says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." And I am a peacemaker. I don't try to cause any kind of controversy anywhere. I just don't feel the need to do so. Yet and still, that is how I was perceived to be, is just somebody that was trying to start some chaos or corruption or whatever. But in actuality, I just didn't feel right about it, and I brought it up. And I only brought it up to him. I mean, I didn't do it in front of his congregation or nothing like that. But he took it in the wrong direction. And he is loved, okay? I love the guy still. If I was to see him tomorrow, I would tell him I love him. I don't hold things against people, okay? Because we all have done wrong. I understand that. It's accepted, and I've moved on from that. But it doesn't mean that because you don't believe something or follow that particular way, doesn't mean that you still have to stay with it. I had to get things right with my brother, okay? And yes, I called the pastor my brother, okay? So I had to make things right between us, but I didn't have to follow him or his ways or anything like that, because I follow my father. And hopefully you could understand that. I have to follow in my father's way. And that for me just was not following in my father's way. Now, I've looked at TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all of this and that, where they point out these mega churches that are doing wrong, okay? I don't know that I would go into a public action as that, okay? There was a time back in the day where three major pastors of churches that were mega church things, pastors, that when this particular guy named Jim was found out to be, let's just say, stealing from other people in a certain particular way, these three major pastors came out against him, okay? This guy went to jail. He spent a lot of time in jail, but he paid for what he did, okay? But these three pastors, they were also not perfect. So these guys, they spoke out against this particular pastor of this church that went to jail for the things that he had done. But the three actually got back their own reaping that they sowed, because they knew that they were not even close to being without sin, and their sins were brought out into the forefront. Everybody started finding out about these people, and it caused a lot of controversy within the church realm, I guess you could say. And I'm sure that sooner than later, they were sorry for what they had done and said when it came to this other guy. This other guy came back, and he had to get remarried. His ex-wife, she passed away, and he turned his life around, as far as I know he did. I mean, I don't see him doing anything that he used to do. This was like back in the 80s, okay? But he turned his life around, and he looks a lot better now than he ever did before. And, you know, a lot of people in the shadows were whispering on each other's shoulders about how he did this and that, but it brought me back to the story of the woman in the street, and the people wanted to stone her to death. And Jesus Christ, my Father, said, if any of you are without sin, then you throw the first stone. Naturally, everybody dropped their stones because nobody was without sin, and they knew that. And so that is what happened. So it was kind of a story within that, because the pastors actually spoke out live on TV that this one guy had done all this wrong and this and that, yet they were not without sin. And so they got pointed out. One of the guys, I'm not going to call any names, I said Jim, but Jim could be Jimbo Loxadaisical or whatever, you know. Some people that know the story of this guy, they would know, but others would not know. And anyway, this one guy that spoke out against this guy, he was known for picking up prostitutes in the street, okay? So he was not without sin. And look what happened to him. So, like I said, I'm not going to name anybody. Most, a lot of people were, if you were alive, you were just a little kid at that time, so you wouldn't even know. But it was very much aware during that time. People knew. People knew that these three guys that spoke out against the guy, they were not perfect also, and they knew that. So, you can manipulate and try to point out one person's sin next to the other, but you will find out very shortly that you're not a perfect person. As I have said right here on myself, I am not a perfect person. You can point me out for whatever you want to, but in the end, I know I'm not perfect. And, it happens. Anyways, I want you to know that I love you. I love you right there. Love yourself. Love my Father God. And then by all means, love each other, people. Until the next time, love, peace, and soul.